So you're a wealthy businessman from China. You've worked hard to build an empire for yourself so you can escape the poor peasantry. And now that you finally made it, it is time to live the good life. You want the best education for your children, a clean living environment, maybe even surprise your wife with a new luxury car. But there is just one problem. You're still living in China, under a super dangerous government, the Chinese Communist Party, also known as the CCP. If you step out of line, if you say one wrong word, or if you just enjoy life a little too much, you may disappear like all the other Chinese billionaires who dropped off the face of the earth.
One of the guys said, "Jack, in 10 years, we will have a fantastic memorial for you. Thank Alibaba and Jack Ma for doing these great things. But now we have to kill you."
You've worked so hard. How are you supposed to enjoy life and raise a family if you're always looking around your shoulder for the CCP? You don't want your children to fall prey to the brainwashing that happens inside of Chinese schools. You and your family deserve better than that. So it's time to move to a country like the US where you can enjoy all the freedom in the world. But then you run into another problem. You can't just buy a first-class plane ticket and move into a fancy mansion in Beverly Hills just like that. It is not that easy. See, the CCP is smart. They know living under their rules sucks. And they also know that their subjects that do get rich will want to take their money and move out of the country, which would hurt their economy, their power, among other things. So they put measures in place to prevent that from happening. See, if you want to leave China once and for all, you must first get your $1 million fortune out of the country. But thanks to China's $50,000 yearly limit of how much money you can move out of the country, it would take decades to get your fortune out of China. And you simply don't have that much time. And if you leave your money in China while you leave, the CCP might freeze your bank account to keep you on a short leash. After all, it's not like you earned all your money cleanly. In an environment like China, bribing an official here and there is just a part of the game you have to play. You had to resort to dirty tricks, maybe even some corruption here and there.
Top Chinese official has been charged with accepting bribes, stealing state secrets, and abusing his power.
Which means the CCP has plenty of dirt on you that they can press charges for whenever they please. That's why you always see people who go up against the government go down for corruption charges in countries like China and Russia. But what if I told you that there was a solution to all of this? A great, systematic way to funnel your money out of China as soon as possible so you can get out from under the CCP's chokehold and live happily ever after in the West. My name is Jake Tran. I make documentaries on money, power, war, and crime with my team. Subscribe for more. And this is Macau, the Las Vegas of China, also known as the money laundering capital of Asia. Becoming wealthy like these rich Chinese citizens takes a lot of skills. People skills, business skills, marketing skills, and much more. And you can learn a lot of these skills on Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of courses that allow you to discover and explore your passions. After all, the people making the most money are the ones with the best skills. And Skillshare can help you learn all those skills right now. No matter what topics you're interested in, you will find it on Skillshare. There are just so many unique and interesting courses, like starting a successful side hustle by YouTuber Ali Abdaal, or productivity for artists, or personal branding, crafting your social media presence. I would personally start off by taking Real Productivity: How to Build Habits That Last by YouTuber and author Thomas Frank. It teaches you everything you need to know about setting and reaching realistic goals, so you can do anything you put your mind to. There are a ton of experts teaching on Skillshare right now. Skillshare is always putting out new useful courses, and you'll never be distracted by ads or interruptions during your class. Plus, the entire course catalog is now available with subtitles in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and German. The first 1,000 people to use the link Skillshare.com/Jake or my code JakeTran will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. That's Skillshare.com/Jake with the link below to start learning on Skillshare today. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video.
In the 16th century, Portugal was one of the world's most dominant powers. Thanks to their superior naval fleet and military power, they were already building colonies in South America and Africa. But now, it was time to get a foothold in Asia. In 1557, the ambitious Portuguese took over Macau, a tiny peninsula in southern China, making it Europe's first ever colony in East Asia. The Chinese called it Ama Gao in honor of Ama, the goddess of the sea, so the Portuguese simply called it Macau. And for more than a century, Macau was the main trading spot between Asia and the rest of the world. Ships from Italy, Portugal, and Spain came there to buy and sell Chinese silks, Chinese tea, Indian spices, African ivory, and Brazilian gold. Business was booming. But then, Macau and the Portuguese had to face a new rival, the British Empire. During the 18th century, the British had an opium trade going with China's Qing dynasty. More and more Chinese were smoking British opium as a recreational drug, and it had a devastating effect on China's society. Because once you're addicted to opium, there's almost no escape. Chinese citizens who tried to get away from the drug suffered from chills and nausea, and sometimes even died from withdrawal. When the leaders of the Qing dynasty saw that opium was tearing China's society apart, they banned the drug and put a stop to the opium trade between the British and China. But the Chinese people still wanted opium, and the British weren't going to let a simple ban come between them and their profits. So they started smuggling opium into China under the nose of Qing's leadership. The Qing dynasty's response? A crackdown on the British opium trade. They seized British ships, destroyed thousands of tons of opium by mixing it with lime and salt and dumping it into the bay. And they arrested hundreds of Chinese dealers. It was a declaration of war. In 1839, the British Army invaded China to secure their opium business. Then the British thought to themselves, well, we're already at war with the Chinese. We might as well take over one of these port cities while we're at it and build a colony there. So they took control over Hong Kong, right on the other side of the bay from Macau. Now on one side of the bay lay the Portuguese colony, and on the other side of the bay lay the British colony. After the British won the Opium War, they controlled most trading routes in East Asia, and Macau's influence started to wane at the expense of the Portuguese. But the Portuguese weren't going to give up that easily. They just had to find a new source of revenue. So in 1849, they made a decision that would change Macau forever. They legalized gambling. Since gambling was illegal in mainland China, more and more people flocked to Macau to try their luck, and it would soon turn Macau into the gambling capital of the world. Due to a treaty with the Qing dynasty, the Portuguese thought they would control Macau forever. But by 1999, the Chinese Communist Party was in full control of China, and Portugal had become a shell of its former colonial self, and the CCP were having none of that. So Portugal surrendered control of Macau back to China. But there was just one condition. China could not interfere with Macau's gambling policy, and China agreed. Macau became the only place in all of China where gambling and casinos were legal, and they went all in on this lucrative vice. Special deals were made with Las Vegas kingpins, luxurious casinos were built, and millions of people began to spend their hard-earned money in Asia's Sin City. Today, Macau is Las Vegas on steroids. In 2016, Macau's revenue was $28 billion, 3 times more than Las Vegas. But where does all that money actually come from? You may think that most of it comes from everyday gamblers and tourists who try their luck in loud casino halls, but you would be mistaken. The majority of Macau's gambling revenue comes from its VIP clients, China's wealthy elite, who have found that Macau is a great way to get their money out of China. Macau's casinos work with businesses called junkets. Junket is a very strange sounding word, so just think of a junket like a club promoter. But instead of trying to get girls to come to a nightclub, junkets try to get wealthy business people to go gamble in a Macau casino. Notice the air quotes around the word gamble. So naturally, it's usually run by very shady people who are oftentimes connected to the Chinese triads. The casino hires the junket on commission, and the junket hires an agent or promoter inside mainland China. That promoter will then find you, a wealthy businessman who wants to get his money out of China. And what does he offer you? A fancy VIP package. It includes a flight to Macau on a private jet, a few nights in one of Macau's finest hotel rooms, and let's say $1 million worth of casino chips for you to start with. You pay the promoter the $1 million plus from your Chinese bank account, wink wink, because you want to enjoy a fancy weekend in Macau. Nothing more. Definitely not trying to escape the CCP. But there's a catch. You can't exchange those chips for cash right away. That would be too easy, too obvious that this is money laundering. So the chips you get are so-called non-negotiable chips. You actually have to travel to Macau and gamble with them. But all the chips you win back are negotiable chips, which you can exchange for cold hard cash that is outside of the CCP's grasp. So, you fly out to one of Macau's fancy casinos, take a seat in the VIP room, far away from the noisy gaming floors below, and you play a few hands of baccarat. You win some, you lose some. And once you've played away your non-negotiable chips, you've hopefully won back most of your money in the form of negotiable chips, wink wink. And now you're free to cash those chips for whatever currency you want, including the mighty US dollar. You won that money fair and square outside of mainland China, so you can do whatever you want with it. And voila! You've successfully circumvented the pesky $50K transfer limit. You see what we did there? You had $1 million you wanted to get out of China. You paid that $1 million to a junket promoter guy, plus extra for the flight, hotel, and cut for the junket. You got back $1 million worth of chips that you have to spend at the Macau casino. You play those chips to get back your money in exchangeable chips, and then you could finally exchange those chips back into US dollars that you can take anywhere you want. The junket got their commission, so they're happy. The casino got their cut, so they're happy. And you got your money out of China, albeit in a convoluted way and for a fee, but you're also happy. Do that a few times and your $1 million fortune will be safe in a bank account of your choice, far away from the watchful eyes of the CCP. But as you can probably guess, the Chinese government doesn't like seeing these shady deals at all. For one, they lose control over you. Once you and all your money is out of China's financial system, they no longer have a lot of leverage against you. If you start spreading nasty rumors about the CCP, they can't freeze your bank account anymore. If they want to arrest you for, let's say, corruption, you're out of reach. Sure, they can still try to hunt you down in the US, but since you're no longer on Chinese soil, it's way more complicated now. The second problem is that huge amounts of money are flowing out of China's economy. So the question is, why doesn't the CCP just shut these junket operations down? Well, from a legal perspective, it's a gray area. Selling fancy VIP packages to rich Chinese is perfectly legal, and all the money they win in Macau is revenue outside the Chinese system. So technically, no one is breaking the law. Besides, these VIP clients are the backbone of Macau's gambling industry. Without them, the city would collapse, and that would make China look really bad, especially since they're working so hard to look like a legitimate country and the next world superpower. But now it seems like the Chinese government is running out of patience. In late 2021, the real crackdown on junket operations began with the arrest of Macau's junket king, Alvin Chow. Chow is the CEO of Sun City, Macau's largest junket operation. During his climb to the top, Chow became friends with Macau's organized crime boss, a man called Broken Tooth Coy, who at one point got him a loan of about $3.8 million. It was the beginning of his junket empire. Sun City became Macau's largest junket operator with about 12,000 agents and a 40% market share. It was a monopoly. Every single casino in Macau had a VIP room devoted to Sun City's high roller guests, and Alvin Chow became Macau's superstar with an estimated net worth of around $1.8 billion, all from helping rich Chinese get their money out of China. But in November 2021, it all came crashing down. Chow was arrested over his alleged connections to cross-border gambling and money laundering schemes. Within 2 weeks, his business was shut down. Sun City closed all of its VIP gaming rooms in Macau's casinos. And shortly after, casinos like the Wynn followed their lead and closed all junket rooms entirely. In January 2022, Macau's police struck yet again. The target? The CEO of Macau's second biggest junket operator, Chan Wenling. The charge? Alleged money laundering. As a result, shares of his company, Macau Legend, fell by more than 20%, and Chan resigned to avoid distraction to the company. With its two biggest players arrested, Macau's junket industry is not looking good. And to make things even more difficult, it's now illegal to entice mainlanders to gamble abroad. Depending on the amount of money involved, you might even end up in jail. Until recently, the VIP industry made up more than 2/3 of Macau's gambling revenue. But now, the CCP is putting an end to these operations once and for all. So China's wealthy elite are now back at the drawing board, desperate to find a new way to get their money out of China. And hey, who knows? If you're watching this in China right now with a VPN and you know of a clever way to get money out of China, maybe you can be the next money laundering Chinese billionaire. Although, I probably wouldn't wish that on you.
And if you want to get a free stock, yes, a free stock with anywhere from $3 to $1,000, all you have to do is go to public.com/JakeTran and create an account. Public is a social stock trading app that is a serious game changer because you can follow other investors right in the app to learn what they invest in, giving you a huge competitive advantage. So go to public.com/JakeTran to get a free stock with the link below. Thanks to Public for sponsoring this video. It has been a while since we made a China video, so let me know what you guys thought in the comments. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and this is one of the biggest channels for documentaries on money, power, war, and crime. We make multiple documentaries every single week for free, so if you enjoyed this one, click that subscribe button below. And if you want longer documentaries that are too controversial to post publicly, click that join button below. If you join and you don't think it's worth it, there's a refund policy too, so you can just email me and I will personally refund you the money. You can follow me on Instagram at JakeTran for that chance to win $1,000. We use a random follower picker thing to make sure it's actually random, but that's gonna wrap it up. Stay dangerous out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.